Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate S&S. I hope everyone's had a great week. We have the weekend coming up pretty soon. Looks like a pretty busy one for me. We're going to be having our chicks hatch here in about 2 to 3 days. So I'm guessing probably by tomorrow morning we should start having some hatchings because they typically finish a day early, but we'll just have to wait and see. So if you have been paying attention to the news, for those of you who draw Social Security, it sounds like you're getting about an 8.3% increase, which should be a national average around $110, something like that every month, additional to what you've been getting. So that should help some of our viewers out that are on Social Security. Something that you need to be aware of, though, is the cost of medicine and stuff like that is going to be continuing to increase with this inflation. I know we're hearing that it's going to go down. That's not what's actually happening. That's not what's being projected. So that's basically giving you some more money but taking it from you type situation there. But if you went to the grocery store today, like I just got back a little while ago, just doing some mild stocking and stuff, I want to get some more cans and some stuff, some dry goods. But I'm noticing these prices, man. I used to be able to get a pound to 2 pounds of beans between $1 to $2, depending on what you're getting. But now, man, these prices have gone through the roof. They're wanting $3 for a pack of beans that just like 3 weeks ago was costing $1.49. So it's insane to see these prices continue to double and continue to double. But it's one of the things where when you're in a sustainability type situation like what we do out here with the quail and the chickens, I am looking at what is becoming the greatest source of my food coming in for what I'm having to purchase. So when you're looking at quail and things like that, if you're just raising quail and quail only, they're a really good source for eggs and meat. They mature out very quick. You're not going to get a lot of meat out of there. Now, if you have an area where you can actually graze your chickens, you can cut back on feed considerably. I was able to go where instead of using a full 50-pound bag is what it was costing just for the chickens every month, to where it's taking about 25 pounds is what I've been averaging being able to graze those out. Now I've had to pull those in and make sure I cover my run and all that again because they have their coop that sits inside of a large run. And the reason I do that this time of year is we're starting to get those migratory birds moving in, and I don't want to risk my birds catching that bird flu. That should be pretty common knowledge, but there are a lot of people who are like me who are just coming into these things and they don't really have the time, or maybe they don't really realize that you need to look at what's happening around the world when you're seeing that hundreds of thousands of birds, even up into the millions, are being culled because of bird flu. You need to make sure you take that extra step, protect those flocks, because that's going to keep your eggs coming in. It's going to keep your meat source coming in. Now, I would not recommend trying to brood chicks right now in the wintertime, especially if you're in those northern states, guys, because it's getting crazy. But I just want to remind everybody, make sure you're getting food, stockpiling your supplies. When we're talking about stockpiling supplies, that list is a very large list of what you can do. But see, what I stockpile may not be what you need. That may be something where you need to be looking at your medicines and stuff like that you have to get for your prescriptions and all. But I think we all can agree that getting food should be a priority right now. When we're looking at what's happening over with this Russia-Ukraine conflict, every time you think it's fixed to dwindle down and maybe come to a halt because of some of the reports coming in that Russia's being pushed back, we see a new aggression come in, 300,000 new troops being thrown up in that area. We're seeing all these things where they're threatening to use nuclear weapons and so on and so forth. And it's almost like the responses that we give out of our administration is to get them to go to a nuclear type of a warfare, is what it seems to me like. There is a lot of misinformation that we're being given, and a lot of information that's not even being given at all from our press secretary. When she's asked questions, she does not actually answer anything. She has never answered a single question since this woman has taken office. I didn't think he'd get any worse when Psaki was in office, but let me tell you what, this woman has proven me wrong. She gets up and she will just twist it around and, well, you'll have to ask the president. Well, the problem is we can't ask the president that, because when he comes up now and gives his speeches, he is if you watch what's happening around him, he has his handlers watching him, because he gets on these tangent rants where he's not really aware what's happening around him, and he'll get on rants that stuff that was 20 years ago that no longer exists today or no longer is an issue today, and starts ranting on that stuff or starts just mumbling where you can't understand what he's saying. It's a very dire need. Now, I can't tell you who to vote for when those elections come up. Obviously, that's something you're going to have to decide for yourself. But I will tell you, whether you're Democrat, Republican, whatever your party you affiliate with, that guy's not cut physically for the role of office. So it's time to look towards somebody else, in my opinion. And nobody in his administration, in my opinion, would be a good fit. I mean, on one hand, you have a guy you can't understand, and the other hand, you have a vice president that cackles through every speech she has, like she's having her speeches written by a third grader. And this is one of the things that I think is interesting. She fired her speech right here recently, and they were like, okay, she's hiring a new one. Well, this is like her third or fourth speechwriter at this point. When you don't actually follow the speeches that they have, you know, what's the point in even having a speech writer? But I think it's important to realize that her speeches have really gone downhill. So it's like she went and she fired a sixth grader and hired a third grader to write her speeches, is what it seems like. I would say a fifth grader, guys, but if you ever seen the show Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Let me tell you, fifth grade, you're learning so much information, and you're like on key with stuff. Those types of questions. It was on the game show. I can pretty much guarantee she wouldn't be able to answer. These are people who don't know what state they come from. They don't even know the capital of their own states. And some of them don't even know how many actual states are actually in the Union of the United States, which I think is pretty interesting. We seen that back with Obama, guys, when he was talking about the 52 states of this country. Well, there's only 50, man. But now when you start looking at territories and stuff, sure, they would like to get some of those territories to give them the voting rights to be able to vote like they were, you know, citizens or whatever. But it's just a mess. But again, man, this is just further reminder, get out and vote. We've been doing some new style biblical messages for you for those. Make sure you check out those playlists. And we're going to be going into some depth on some things here in the next few days. And I fully expect there to be questions. I expect there to be comments. And I expect there to be some pretty nasty language used. And that's one of the things why we have filters. Understand, if you make a comment and it's not showing up, it's because a filter has caught it, and I check that daily. And as long as you're not, like, you know, getting on to somebody or, you know, being just a troll, that does get released. So that's something you need to be aware of. It's not that we're trying to silence anybody, but if there's a lot of profanity and things like that, I don't allow that type of comments in there. So if it picks up any profanity, it holds it, has to be approved. And that's what's happening. If you've seen where something happens, because usually you've made a comment and someone's commented in behind it, and it halts the whole comment section. So we can still release yours, but block the other one or remove it, because I don't want people coming onto this channel and reading that kind of language and stuff like that. This channel for me is an outlet to be able to do a couple things: to inform you about prepping, to teach you about being sustainable in your livelihood, and also to share with you faith, guys, because with everything that's happening in the world today, we have enough negative information coming out just from the news. We have enough negative information now coming out from our political aspects of stuff. And we have enough negativity around us every day, where I want a channel where you can come and you can hear truth that's going to bring you hope. And understand all of these things that we're seeing happening, the famines and the pestilences and the droughts and all this, it was all foretold. So we don't have to worry too much about what is happening, because we know where it's heading. And that's what we're told. That we're told, you know, do not be disheartened. You know, understand these things have to happen, but it's a good sign when you're starting to see these things, guys. But that's what our new series is going to be based on. And understand, it's not going to be based like a Sunday school type of a situation. It's going to be some in-depth stuff that maybe you've never thought about, or maybe you've never even heard about. And we recently ordered a pretty cool book. It's actually a series of books, because I know we get a lot of questions about the book of Enoch, but understand there's more than just one book. So there's Enoch 1, Enoch 2, Enoch 3, the book of Jubilees, the book of Giants. And that's the one that I want to start getting into, guys, is Enoch 1, which is one of the oldest transcripts ever made, and that you can find. It's been translated in the English version. And also we're going to be using the book of Giants. So that's something that we're going to look at, because it's looking at the spiritual warfare around us. It's showing us what that pre-flood world was, just as it was before the days of Noah. And I think that's important to realize what's happening today and how it contrasts with what happened back then, because we know that destruction is coming, but we also know that redemption is on its way. And that, to me, is important. That's something we need to hold on to. But I hope you've had a great day. Again, guys, you know, just a reminder, get food now. You need to go out and you need to get that. Inflation rate is not going to stop. It is continuing to climb. We're seeing 50% decreasing in the amount of goods that are pulling out. I was kind of nervous about some of my plants the last couple of days, because it did drop down into like 36 or so the last couple nights, which is really odd for this area. So I covered those plants up and went out and checked everything today again. And we're back into those warmer temperatures. Not summer temperatures, but warmer temperatures, where we don't have that threat of frost. And We've actually got 3 nice size squash growing. We have several more that have just come in. I thought I was going to have to hand pollinate, but I am seeing that there are honeybees out there and they are moving around and they are working them flowers, so that's great. And then our winter squash is looking great. It's starting to run, and I'm noticing some buds that are going to blossom out here pretty soon. So I'm expecting a pretty good harvest on that. Probably, it's my first time growing winter squash, so I'm guessing that's probably going to take around 3 maybe 4 weeks for all that stuff to come in. But it's not a once and done type situation. It will continue to grow and it will continue to bud, and it's different than your straight neck squash because you don't just come out and just clip it off. You want to make sure it reaches a certain ripeness, and we're going to go over that as those things are ready to be picked, so you're picking it right, so the sugars have actually settled into their correct coordinates and things like that, so you have a nice sweet pumpkin flavored squash is what it comes down to. And that's what winter squash is. It's still in the gourd family, but it has more of a flavor of butternut to pumpkin, somewhere in there, but sweet. And if you pull it too soon, it's not going to be soft enough. It's not going to have those flavors settled in with all the sugars and things like that in there. So we'll be going over some of that in the days ahead. Everyone have a wonderful day.